Hi everyone, welcome back to the Wimpy Studio and welcome back to another um, election prediction. This is my July prediction for the 2026 governorship. So a couple of things have changed, specifically with the margins. I think this is going to be a more Democratic favored map than my last one, which had a couple of states as tilt blue, and I'm going to be moving a few of them into the lean blue category. But let's go ahead and dive right in. Funnily enough, I've been saying that I think the governor's elections are more interesting than the Senate ones, but with all the things going on in the Maine Senate race, I might take that back. I think that's a very interesting race. I've been following it very closely. And by the time they pick a nominee, which is late July, I'll who knows, I might have a new prediction for my August prediction. But as far as the governorships go, yeah, not much has really changed except for a few margins. But for the safe seats, we're going to have for the Dems, California, Hawaii. I'm going to check something with Colorado. I'm going to come back to that. Illinois, Maryland, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. And we're going to throw New York, Pennsylvania, Minnesota all in there. So, Colorado. I know there was a bit of an upset. Michael Bennett was favored to win, but Phil Weiser kind of won with an upset. However, Colorado has rapidly shifted left, and there's no polling here. And the unfortunate thing is, there's not really a lot of polling for some of these races that I think could be more competitive. But I think Colorado will probably still go by over 15. I mean, again, it's one of the most left trending states. It used to be closer. In fact, it went red in 2004 to my knowledge. um yeah, so but yeah, it's definitely shifted blue a lot, and I do think it will probably get over 15 in this election. I mean, it got, yeah, Jared Polis. I mean, yeah, I think Colorado will be safe blue. I'm not too worried about that. All right, New Mexico, I'm gonna actually we'll come back to that because that one I don't think is gonna be safe. But for the Republicans, we have Idaho, Wyoming, South Dakota, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Vermont. I'm iffy on Alabama. This is a rematch between Tommy Tuberville and Doug Jones, and I'm honestly just not quite sure if Doug Jones will be able to drag it below 15 or not. I definitely think he can, but it's just another one of those races that there's just really no polling here. It's another race that could be closer, but they're not doing polls because it's not a swing state. I mean, there's this whole controversy about Tommy Tuberville's eligibility, and I mean that could hurt him a bit, but I mean, the Senate race was a 20-point win for him against Jones, so I don't honestly see this being that much closer. I think it could be maybe like a 16, 17-point win for Tuberville, but I'm hesitant to say it will get down below 15, but I definitely think it could. So I think this is where I'm going to cap it. Both parties have 17 safe seats for each of them. So for the likely seats, I mentioned New Mexico a second ago. I'll go ahead and look at that. And another one where there's really no polling at all, but it's all likely D. And I do think that'll probably be where I put it. New Mexico shifted a bit to the right in 2024. Harris only won it by 6, so I think this will probably near 15, but it won't quite get there. I think it'll probably be like maybe 13, 14. I think it'll be really close to getting to safe. I don't think it will get quite there, though. Colorado, I mean, has shifted left drastically. New Mexico has shifted right a bit, but it won't be a 6-point win for Deb Haaland. It'll be a much larger win, like probably like about 12 to 14 points. All right. Oregon is another one. Now, I saw like a poll about Oregon, and it had like it was an, I mean, it could, yeah, I think it was this poll. They had just posted it. Christine Drazen leading Tina Kotek by 4 points, but it's her own internal. And yeah, I mean, these 8 undecideds could all easily go to Kotek's way, or most of them could. Even then, I still think her margin of victory would be bigger than like 4 points. I mean, it's a bluer leaning year. Trump's approval rating is very low in a state like Oregon. So, um, yeah, I just I don't think Tina Kotek's in any real trouble. I mean, she won't win by over 15, but she'll drastically improve on her 2022 margin where she only won by 3. I think she'll probably win by maybe the same margin as Deb Holland in New Mexico. And then we'll go to Maine, and kind of an upset. Thanks to ranked choice voting, Hannah Pengri ended up winning the Democratic nomination, and we look at polling here for the general, see if there even is any. A couple of polls. I mean, all of these have Pingree leading by pretty solid margins. It's going to be another one where I don't think it will reach quite 15. I think Oregon, New Mexico, and Maine will probably all vote the same. They'll near 15, but not quite. Probably like 12 to 14 point wins for all those candidates. And then the final likely blue state I'm going to categorize. I'm just going to take a peek at it. I'm pretty confident about Jocelyn Benson. Yeah, I mean, we it's not for sure that John James is going to be the Republican nominee, but he's pretty likely to be. And just in all these polls, she's leading him by like 10 or so. So I don't know if she'll win by that much. I don't think she'll reach Whitmer levels, but I think she'll probably win by about 7 to 8. So that does it for the likely blue seat. And for the likely reds, we'll start in Kansas. Another one where there's no polling at all for a race that really should have some polling because it's a Democratic incumbent, Laura Kelly here. They really should put some polling out. But whoever the nominees are, I mean, I think this is the one seat out of all the Senate and the governor seats that the Republicans will flip. I mean, toss up. This was as of August 2025. I mean, yeah, I don't think anyone's expecting the Democrats to actually hold this unless it's a complete blue wave. Then I think maybe they could hold on to this seat, but I highly doubt it. I think whoever the Republican is will probably end up winning by about 10. I'm not expecting it to be super close. Probably the same would go for um, Byron Donalds in Florida. I'm pretty sure he's going to be the nominee. There was a little scandal I read about him like screaming at a woman or something, or I don't know, but I don't think that's actually going to hurt him. The polling here actually shows David Jolly doing decent, but it's also a Democratic internal that actually shows him up, and Florida's gone so far right. I mean, David Jolly is keeping it within range. I don't think it's going to be like a 13 point win, how Trump won it in 2024, but I think it will probably be about 10. It could narrow up a bit. We could maybe see it be more like an 8 point win for Donalds, but I'm going to go ahead and say Kansas and Florida will probably be about 10 point races. And South Carolina will probably be a bit more than that. And I don't think this race will be all that competitive. But Alan Wilson did win the Republican nomination in a bit of an upset. He beat out Pamela Yvette, the lieutenant governor, but I don't think that's going to have any real ramifications for the race that's already either likely red or safe or solid. I think this, and the only reason I'm saying this is going to be a below 15 is if we look at 2018, Henry McMaster only won by 8. So it could very well maybe, I don't think it's going to be that tight of a margin. It will probably go anywhere between 8 and 17. I could see maybe like a 13 to 14 point win for Alan Wilson, but ultimately it's not going to be that competitive. We'll go over to Texas next, and it's another one where Gina Hinojosa has not led in a single poll, so I don't think she'll come out on top, but I think she'll narrow up the margin. I do think it's going to be the closest a Democrat will get to beating Greg Abbott if we just look at his past electoral performances. He won by 11 in 2022, which was down from his 13 point win in 2018. So I think this will probably be about an 8 point win for Greg Abbott, and it could even narrow up more than that, but I'm just going to call it there for right now. And then I have one more likely red seat that I'm going to classify. I'll see if there's any polling on it, but I don't think there is. I don't see this race being all that close. Yeah, there's some polling here. It shows Kelly Oyette up by about 8 or so in a couple of these polls. This one has a bit closer, but she's a popular incumbent, and I think she'll hold on. Yeah, I think she'll hold on. It's going to be like the same state in Nevada, which I'll get to in a second. I think some of these governors, even though they're Republicans, that they're the more popular ones, I still think they're going to hold on. I mean, the nice thing with the governor races is that it is more about popularity, more so as opposed to the Senate races, which is kind of all about the national environment. People kind of care about who they're electing as their governors. I mean, obviously they can't be like a terrible candidate. They vote more for stronger candidates, and sometimes it goes against the national environment. So we could see some of these states like well, I'm going to talk about Nevada. I think that's a very good example of uh, going away that's not favored, like the national environment is favored towards. So, but for the lean blue races, let's see. We'll start with Wisconsin. This is a very interesting primary for the Democrats because I thought Mandela Barnes would end up being the nominee, but Francesca Hong, she's more of a progressive option. I don't know if that would play as well in Wisconsin, more of a swing state. You can make the same argument for Abdul El Sayed running from the Michigan Senate, likely to be the front runner there. Um, for all we know, it could end up being Sarah Rodriguez, but she's more of the establishment. Same with Mandela Barnes. So if anything, they would split the vote and give Francesca Hong the win. And I do think she has a very good shot at winning, but I ultimately do think it'll either be Barnes or Rodriguez. And I think Sarah Rodriguez would actually be the strongest candidate and can maybe even push this race by over five. Barnes would probably be four, maybe 3 to 4. I don't know about Francesca Hong. If we take a look at the general election polling, um, yeah, I mean, this is a 4 point race for Barnes, 3 points for Hong, and 5 points. Yeah, and I mean, I think that's probably how it would end up going. Probably like three for Hong, four for Barnes, five for Rodriguez. So we'll go ahead and say the average because I still think it will be Barnes at the end of the day. We'll say he'll win by about four against Tom Tiffany. So going over to Arizona, see if there's any new polling here. I'm pretty confident in saying, yeah, Katie Hobbs is leading by 6 on average. I don't think she'll get that far. This is a state that Trump won by almost 6 in 2024. I don't think it's going to swing that far. I think she'll definitely do a lot better than she did in her 2022 performance, where she only won by under a point against Carrie Lake, who was a disastrous candidate. I think she'll probably win by maybe four, same margin as Mandela Barnes in Wisconsin. I think these two states would probably vote pretty similar to each other. Next, I'm going to look at Alaska because Alaska is one that I really go back and forth on because I don't fully understand the ranked choice voting, but there was a new poll that I saw earlier. I don't think it's going to be on here. There was a new poll that I saw earlier that showed for a final round of ranked choice voting, um, it had Big Edge up by about two against Bernadette Wilson, who's going to be like the lead Republican candidate here. So I honestly think that with Mary Patola favored to win her Senate race and the family name that Tom Begich has that advantage for, I think that's going to be enough for him to win by about 1 to 2. I think him and Mary Patola will perform pretty similar to one another. They'll probably run the same line, end up with about the same margin. So we'll go ahead and take a look at Georgia. And Keisha Lane's Bottoms has definitely been impressing me with the polling against Rick Jackson. This is a tied poll here, but I have no idea what this WIC polling is, to be honest. I don't think it's a very popular, well-known pollster. But here, she's leading. She led him by 15. She's not going to win by that much. That's a Democratic eternal. She led by 5 here, and even that's pretty hyping, overhyping her, in my opinion. I do think she has the advantage, mostly because of John Ossoff, who I currently have projected to win his race by about 7. And I think that'll be just enough to get Bottoms to win the race by about 2. I think as long as Ossoff wins by over 5, he'll bring Bottoms on top. I realize how weird that could be taken out of context, but yeah, I think I think with like a 5 point win, I think that would give Bottoms a tilt blue margin, maybe a 6 point win, a 1 point for Bottoms, and then something like that. I think he'll probably outrun her by about five. So as long as he gets over five, and I think he's pretty likely to do so, I do think Keisha will get back on top. She'll come out the victor in the Georgia governorship, which will be huge for the Democrats because they have not won that since 1996. Pretty sure 1996 or 1998. Let me check. I think it's 1990. Yeah, 8. Yeah, because that was a presidential year. 1998. So yeah, I think even though Keisha is a pretty mediocre candidate, I do think because of the national environment, and I just don't think I don't think a lot of independents are going to want to vote for a billionaire, seeing how things are going in our country. I just think that'll kind of turn them away. But I think because he's an outsider, he'll carry enough independence to prevent this from being like a solid, commanding margin of victory for Bottoms. Again, I think she'll only win by max two. I don't think she's going to really win by any more than two. I think it's going to be a very close race, but I do think she will come out on top. And we're going to take a look at the state of Iowa. And let's see. This is another one where Rob Sand's doing very well here. I mean, he only led by 1 point here, but to be fair, this New York Times Siena University had Republicans doing a lot better than some of the other polls. And here, even Rob Sand's still leading by 1 point. I mean, he's not going to win by nine. He's also not going to win by five. I'm pretty confident about that. I think he'll probably win by about two. Maybe he could push it to like a 3 to 4 point win. But as of right now, I'll say he'll win by about two. This is a Trump plus 13 state. So I know it's weird that I'm putting Iowa and Georgia into the same column, about the same margin of victory, but Rob Sand's an incredibly good candidate, and Zach Lane's a nobody from Kansas. And although I do think he would run better than Randy Feenstra, solely because he's more of an outsider, he's a farmer, I think that will appeal to more independents in Iowa. But it's also, you know, Rob Sand's an incredibly strong candidate, and I think he's the right candidate to flip the Iowa governorship. I'm going to take a peek back. When was the last time that the Iowa governorship went blue? I'm really curious here. 2006, yeah. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Very interesting. But, yeah, I'm going to say he'll win by about two. Rob Sand will in the state of Iowa. All right, so Nevada's a very interesting race because Trump's approval rating is then his lowest out of all the swing states at a minus 24. So you would think this would be an easy pickup opportunity for the Democrats. Aaron Ford would have this in the bag. And while I do think Aaron Ford's a strong candidate, he's not led in any of the polling. And Joe Lombardo is pretty popular in the state of Nevada. He's a popular governor. And I still think Lombardo will win. By how much, though, is a good question because he won by 1.5 in 2022. And you could debate this could get down to a tilt red margin, but the polling's not really suggesting that. I think he has potential to do better this year, even though it's a bluer year. I think he could win by about two. I think he'll win by anywhere between one and two. I'll go ahead and say that. I think it'll be somewhere in that margin of victory, but it could easily be decided by under a point. So it really could go either way. So it all comes down to the state of Ohio. Save it for last. My birth state, and I was not expecting the Ohio governorship to be this close, but it really is. And Amy Acton is definitely holding her own. She's leading in some of these polls. Again, here, even though this was a more Republican leaning thing, she still has it tied. And this race shouldn't be that close. It really shouldn't, because I really thought the COVID baggage would bring her down, but it really hasn't. She's holding her own. She's actually doing really well in these polls. She hit 50% here. So this is a real pickup opportunity for the Democrats. They very well could. I think Amy Acton's a really good candidate. But in my Senate prediction, I said I think Ohio is going to be like the Florida of 2018. I think both the Senate and the governor races are going to be very close to flipping, but they ultimately won't. And Ramaswamy is a terrible candidate. although he hasn't said as many controversial things as of late, to my knowledge. So maybe he's starting to realize that he can't be saying all this shit if he actually wants to win this race, because this should be an easy win for the Republicans. Sorry. But I definitely think Amy actually has a good shot at winning here, as does Sharon Brown. I I would not be surprised if the polling is keeps looking good and the momentum's good. I could very well change my rating next month for both of these to be tilt blue. As of right now, I'm going to be cautious though. And either way, the Democrats I think are favored to gain a majority of the governor's seats. Now it's possible they could lose Alaska, and in that case, they would be tied. Even then, though, I think they're going to come out on top, and I think they could flip Ohio, and I do think they could flip Nevada. I don't see any other seats flipping, but yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see. But that's kind of where I'm gonna leave the map as of right now. 26 to 24 in favor of the Democrats. Let me know down below if you would make any changes to this map. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, everyone.